The day my sister fled her wedding, I was hiding in the hotel kitchen, sneaking macarons. Just as the cloying sweetness melted on my tongue, a commotion erupted from the front hall. I peeked out curiously and saw my father striding toward me, his face ashen with rage, followed by a few frantic bridesmaids. "Sumo!" Father grabbed my wrist, his grip so tight I almost cried out. "Get into the wedding dress. Now. You're on in 10 minutes. My eyes widened, and pink macaron crumbs tumbled from the corner of my mouth. "What? But isn't today my sister's?" That wretched girl ran off. Father hissed the words through clenched teeth, the fury in his eyes practically spewing flames. "The Lu family is already waiting. Listen to me. I've raised you all these years, not for you to be useless. Today, you will marry into the Lu family in your sister's place." A shiver ran through me. The sweetness in my throat suddenly turned to bitter ash. As the younger daughter of the Su family, I was always the one being compared to my sister. Outsiders all assumed I resented her, that I was jealous of her excellence. But in reality, I was incredibly grateful to have an older sister. Because I knew that as the eldest, she had to shoulder so many responsibilities. Just like this arranged marriage with the Lu family, she was the one considered first. I had been so happy, thinking I still had a few years of freedom left. But I never imagined my own sister would dare to run away on her wedding day. And bring my own journey to freedom to a screeching halt. In the dressing room, the bridesmaids scrambled to help me into my sister's wedding dress. The waist was 2 inches too big, and the hem was so long I nearly tripped over it. I sighed. This whole wedding was a joke. "Your skin is so fair, Mississippi. This dress actually suits you better than your sister," one of the bridesmaids said, trying to lighten the mood. I stared at the stranger in the mirror, the elaborate makeup hiding my usual youthful look. In my 22 years, it was the first time I had ever been so elaborately dressed up, all to sacrifice my freedom and marry a man I had never even met. "Does the Lu family know they switched the bride?" I whispered. My father sneered. "As long as she has the Su surname, it doesn't matter." The moment I stepped into the banquet hall, the glare of the lights nearly blinded me. My ears were ringing, and I could only vaguely hear the officiant's awkward announcement, "The Su family's second daughter." "Sumo." Whispers erupted from the guests, slithering into my ears like countless tiny vipers. What's going on? I thought it was the older sister. A last-minute swap? That's insane. How could a family like the Lus possibly agree to this? I heard that workaholic from the Lu family doesn't give a damn who he marries. The older sister, the younger sister, it's all the same to him. I kept my eyes glued to the tips of my shoes. The pure white heels were adorned with the crystal decorations my sister loved, and every step felt like walking on knives. And then I saw him. Lu Tingyun was standing at the end of the aisle in a perfectly tailored black suit, his expression as severe and unmoving as a statue. The head of the Lu clan, the most powerful man in all of Beijing society. He was rumored to be decisive, ruthless, and cold-blooded, known as the Demon King of the business world. My first instinct was to back away, but my father gave me a sharp push from behind, sending me stumbling forward. Lu Tingyun's eyes narrowed slightly, the look of a predator zeroing in on its prey. My back was instantly drenched in a cold sweat. It was as if I were pinned to the spot by an invisible force, and even breathing became difficult. The ceremony unfolded like a surreal nightmare. When we exchanged rings, my fingers were shaking so badly I almost dropped his on the floor. Lu Tingyun's hand was cool and dry. The moment it closed around mine, I felt like a small creature trapped in a snake's coils. He didn't say, "I do." He just gave a cold grunt of assent. At the reception, I sat in the bride's seat like a porcelain doll on display. The feast of delicacies laid out before me smelled incredible, but I couldn't bring myself to eat a single bite. Lu Tingyun didn't look at me once. He was too busy making small talk with the business tycoons who came to offer their congratulations, occasionally flashing a smile that never reached his eyes. "Why isn't the bride eating?" Suddenly, a cloyingly sweet female voice piped up beside me. I looked up to see a beautiful woman in a silver gown sizing me up. "Don't tell me, you're nervous?" I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Every other pair of eyes at the table shot toward me. I felt like a criminal in a spotlight. "She has a cold." her throat's bothering her. Lu Tingyun spoke up suddenly. His voice wasn't loud, but it instantly silenced the table. His long fingers pushed a glass of warm water toward me. "Drink this." I took the glass, surprised. My fingertips brushed against his, and I flinched back as if I'd been shocked. It was the only thing he said to me all night. Late at night, as I sat alone on the massive bed in our honeymoon suite, the whole thing still felt as absurd as a dream. My sister had run away from her wedding, so I married Lu Tingyun, the man who was a permanent fixture in business magazines and on financial news channels. Lu Tingyun's resume was as flawless as a meticulously crafted business legend. At 16, he was granted early admission to the country's top university for finance. He completed all his credits in 3 years, graduating ahead of schedule with a perfect GPA. At 19, he went to the US for his PhD in financial engineering, becoming the youngest quantitative analyst on Wall Street. The projects he handled boasted returns as high as 300%, leaving a trail of veteran investment banking elites in his dust. At 23, he returned to China to take over the floundering Lu Group. In just 2 years, he quintupled its market value, becoming the unassailable ruler of the most powerful business empire in the capital. His mind was terrifyingly cool, his decisions as precise as a machine's. He never left his opponents an inch of ground at the negotiating table. There was a saying in the business world, if Lu Tingyun wants your project, you'd better just sell it to him. Because by the time he makes his move, you won't even have a seat at the table. And yet, this man, so feared in the world of commerce, also possessed a face you couldn't look away from. His features were deep-set, his eyes sharp, his nose high and straight, and his jawline was as clean and sharp as if carved from stone, giving him an air of aloof nobility. His eyes were especially beautiful, as black as ink. In repose, they were like a bottomless, cold abyss. When a glint of sharpness flashed through them, they could send a chill down your spine. But strangely, almost no one ever went out of their way to praise him as handsome. Because compared to his terrifying achievements in business, his looks were the least remarkable thing about him. The line of socialites and heiresses in the capital wanting to marry him could stretch all the way to Paris, yet he never gave any of them a second glance. It even led to speculation that he had no interest in women at all. The sound of footsteps outside the door cut through my thoughts. The door opened, and Lu Tingyun's tall frame appeared in the doorway, carrying the faint scent of alcohol. He didn't turn on the light, just stood in the moonlight undoing his tie. The silvery light traced the sharp line of his profile. I clutched the hem of my dress, my palms slick with sweat. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it would burst from my chest. "Listen," he said, his voice even colder than I'd imagined. "From now on, your only job is to play the part of Mrs. Lu. Don't do anything more." I nodded vigorously, but my eyes widened against my will. His long fingers were unbuttoning his shirt. 1, then 2, his honey-toned chest was partially visible in the moonlight. My face instantly flushed, and I hastily tore my gaze away. "What are you looking at?" He suddenly stopped, his voice laced with danger. "And nothing," I stammered, nearly biting my tongue. He let out a soft huff and tossed his shirt onto the sofa, revealing the lean, hard lines of his waist and abs. My breath caught, and I shrank toward the corner of the bed. The sound of the shower started in the bathroom. I pricked up my ears like a frightened rabbit. 20 minutes later, the water shut off. He emerged in a cloud of damp, cool air, a single bath towel slung low and loose around his hips. "Are you?" My voice trembled. "Are you going to sleep on the bed?" He glanced down at me. "This is my bed." Before I could react, the mattress dipped beside me. He lifted the covers and slid in, bringing a clean, chilly scent with him. My body went rigid as a board. I even held my breath. "Relax," he said, his eyes closed, his voice tinged with weariness. "I'm not going to do anything to you tonight." I carefully inched toward the edge of the bed, only to be stopped by an arm that shot out and wrapped around me. His warm palm locked onto my waist, and he hauled me back. My back was pressed flush against his chest, and I could feel the powerful, steady beat of his heart. "Move again," he warned, his breath fanning across the back of my ear and sending a shiver through me, "and I can't guarantee I'll keep my word." I froze, not daring to even blink. His body heat radiated through my thin nightgown, scalding hot. Go to sleep, he said, tightening his arm, his voice already thick with drowsiness. We have that banquet tomorrow. I lay with my eyes wide open late into the night, listening to the even sound of his breathing behind me, my heart thundering in my chest. This man was like a slumbering wolf, even with his eyes closed, you wouldn't dare make a single rash move. As it turned out, all that wedding night anxiety was for nothing. Because since that day, I could count on both hands the number of times I'd seen Lu Tingyun. Before I knew it, it was early July. I was curled up on the sofa with a book when my phone suddenly started vibrating. A familiar name flashed onto the screen, Lin Jiayong. He was in my class, the well-known prodigy of our department. Hello? I answered in a low voice, instinctively glancing toward the study. For once, Lu Tingyun was working from home today, and the door to the study had been closed all day. Mo. You finally answered. Lin Jiayong's voice was full of energy. The department's organizing a pre-graduation party tomorrow at the Blue Note Club. You have to be there. Everyone's waiting for you. I bit my lip. I hadn't been in touch with my classmates for a long time, not since I'd married into the Lu family. I only went to campus when it was absolutely necessary for graduation paperwork. The rest of the time, I did my best to avoid everyone. Lu Tingyun never asked about my social life, but I was well aware that as Mrs. Lu, I shouldn't be seen out and about so freely. I'm not sure. It's not a great time for me. Come on, don't say that. Lin Jiayong said, his voice urgent. You even got into the graduate program. We all want to celebrate with you. Mo, has something been going on with you these past few months? If you're in any kind of trouble, you have to tell me. No, nothing's going on. I'm fine. You've been so mysterious, we were starting to think you'd secretly gone off and gotten married. I nearly choked. Married? I was, in fact. But no one knew outside of our families and the Lu family's circle. Okay. I'll go, I finally agreed. After hanging up, I looked up, and my heart gave a violent lurch. I don't know when he'd gotten there, but Lu Tingyun was standing in the doorway of the study. His tall, lean frame was propped against the doorframe, a coffee mug in his hand, his gaze heavy as he watched me. Who was that? His tone was flat, but it made me nervous for some reason. A classmate. Inviting me to a graduation party tomorrow. I answered honestly. He took a small sip of his coffee, his dark eyes narrowing slightly. They don't know you're married? They don't. The silence stretched for a moment. Where's the party? Huh? Oh, it's near campus. A new place called the Blue Note Club. It shouldn't go too late. Can I go? Just when I thought he was going to say no, all he did was give a quiet and turn back into the study. The next night, I went to the Blue Note Lounge in a simple white dress. The moment I pushed open the door to our private room, my classmates swarmed me with cheers, all talking at once and complaining about how I'd been a ghost lately. Mo. You're not secretly dating someone, are you? My roommate, Xiao Qi, nudged my shoulder with a mischievous grin. I let out an awkward laugh, not daring to respond. Lin Jiayong sat beside me, occasionally handing me drinks and fruit. The tenderness in his eyes made me a little uncomfortable. Halfway through the party, someone suggested we go to the karaoke room to sing, and everyone started cheering, pushing me onto the stage. Mo won the campus singing competition back in the day. You have to sing a song for us. I couldn't get out of it, so I had to bite the bullet and pick a song, The Brightest Star in the Night Sky. As the music started, I gradually relaxed. I closed my eyes and just let the song flow out of me. I didn't open my eyes until the final note faded. And then, I froze. There, in the doorway of the room, stood Lu Tingyun. Dressed in a black suit, he was leaning lazily against the frame, his gaze locked on me. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes were like a wolf's, fixed on its prey. Before I could even react, Lin Jiayong rushed onto the stage, dropped to one knee, and held up a bouquet of roses that seemed to appear out of nowhere. He shouted. Mo. I've liked you for a long time. Please, give me a chance. Be my girlfriend. The room instantly erupted, the screams loud enough to blow the roof off. My mind went blank. I opened my mouth, about to turn him down. when a lean hand suddenly wrapped around my waist, and a familiar yet strange, cold presence enveloped me. Lu Tingyun was suddenly standing behind me, his chest pressed against my back. His lips brushed against my ear as he said in a low, clear voice, "Nice singing, wife." The entire room fell dead silent. The color drained from Lin Jiayong's face. Wife?" A corner of Lu Tingyun's mouth lifted, but his eyes were chilling. His gaze swept slowly around the room before finally landing on my stunned face. The pat of his thumb caressed the side of my waist, his tone a dangerous and intimate whisper. "What, you didn't tell them you're already married?" I was frozen, completely unsure how to react, but Lu Tingyun had already taken my hand and was leading me off the stage. "Apologies, everyone. It's getting late, so I'll be taking my wife home. Don't worry about the bill, everything tonight is on me." With that, he pulled me out of the room. When we returned to the villa, the air was so thick with tension it felt like you could wring water from it. Lu Tingyun was silent the entire drive, his long fingers resting on the steering wheel, his knuckles a faint white. I shrank in the passenger seat, my heart hammering so hard it ached, each breath careful and cautious. The moment the car stopped, he strode around to my side, yanked the door open, and looked down at me. The moonlight traced his silhouette, his dark eyes bottomless. "Get out," he said, his voice low and hoarse. My fingertips trembled. I had just taken a single step when he swept me up into his arms. Lu Tingyun," I cried out, instinctively clutching his shirt. "Call me husband." He glanced down at me, his tone leaving no room for argument. The tips of my ears burned. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. He scoffed, carried me straight upstairs, kicked open the master bedroom door, and tossed me onto the bed. The mattress sank. He knelt over me on one knee, slowly loosening his tie, his gaze dark and intense as he stared at me. "Sumo, we need to talk." I tried to shrink away, but he grabbed my ankle and dragged me back. His palm was terrifyingly hot, the pads of his fingers brushing almost imperceptibly against my skin, sending a shiver through me. From this day on, he leaned in, his breath ghosting over my lips. "I want a normal marriage." My pupils contracted. What do you mean?" He gave a low chuckle, his thumb stroking my bottom lip. "Including a husband and wife's duties." My face burst into flames, and my heart felt like it was about to pound out of my chest. His presence, an overwhelming wave of faint cedarwood, enveloped me and made me dizzy. I'm not ready," I whispered, my voice barely audible. His eyes darkened. He suddenly grabbed the back of my head, his lips crashing down on mine. It was an aggressive, undeniable kiss. His tongue pried my lips apart and plunged inside, leaving me breathless. He caught my struggling hands and pinned them above my head, his solid frame pressing me deep into the mattress. Wait. I struggled to turn my head away, but he bit my earlobe, and all the strength drained from my body. "That Lin fellow," he murmured, his voice raspy as his lips traced the shell of my ear. "Did he touch you here, too?" I shook my head, my eyes burning. "No. There's nothing between us." He seemed satisfied. He kissed me again, but this time it was much gentler, as if he were soothing a frightened animal. But when his hand slid under the hem of my shirt, I couldn't stop myself from trembling. "Scared of me?" He propped himself up slightly, his dark eyes swirling with emotions I couldn't decipher. I bit my lip and nodded, a traitorous tear sliding down my cheek. Lu Tingyun's breath hitched. He abruptly let me go and rolled off, sitting up. He tugged agitatedly at his collar, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Go take a shower." I froze, stunned that he had stopped. "If you keep looking at me like that," his gaze deepened, "I can't promise I'll be able to stop again." I scrambled off the bed, but he called out to me as I reached the door. "Sumo," he said, his back to me, his voice low. "Starting tomorrow, everyone will know you are Mrs. Lu." My heart skipped a beat, and I fled. In the bathroom, I stared at my reflection, at my swollen lips and red-rimmed eyes. My legs still felt like jelly. I couldn't shake the feeling of that kiss. His warmth, his scent, even the shiver that ran through me when the tip of his tongue brushed the roof of my mouth, it was all terrifyingly vivid. But what was even more terrifying was this: the moment he let me go, I actually felt a pang of disappointment. Early in the morning, while I was still asleep, I felt the mattress beside me dip slightly. Get up. Lu Tingyun's deep voice rumbled by my ear, laced with its usual morning rasp. I groggily opened my eyes to find his handsome face inches from mine. He was wearing a well-tailored black suit, but his tie was undone, hanging loosely around his neck and revealing a sliver of his sexy collarbone. Starting today, you're coming to the company with me. He propped himself up on one hand beside my pillow and squeezed my cheek with the other. You'll be my personal assistant. I snapped awake. What? You don't want to? He narrowed his eyes, the pad of his finger ghosting over my lips. Forgotten about last night? My face flushed hot. It was as if I could still feel the heat of that breathtaking kiss on my lips. I don't know how to be an assistant. I stammered in protest. You don't need to know how. He whipped the covers off and scooped me up into his arms as I gasped. Lu Corporation headquarters, top floor CEO's office. I sat rigidly on Lu Tingyun's lap, my entire body burning up. His arm was wrapped around my waist, his chin resting on my shoulder. His breath fanned the back of my ear, and it tickled so much I wanted to squirm away, but I didn't dare move. Mr. Lu, this document needs your... The secretary pushed the door open, saw the scene, and froze solid. Leave it on the desk. Lu Tingyun didn't even look up, his fingers toying with a strand of my hair. Once the secretary had retreated with a stiff, awkward gait, I finally couldn't take it anymore. Can you please not? Everyone's watching. Watching what? He chuckled, then suddenly turned my face to his and kissed me. The kiss was deep and urgent. He didn't pull away until I was breathless. Now you know what they're watching. He licked the corner of his mouth, as if savoring the taste. My Mrs. Lu. Soon, gossip was flying through the entire company. Word was that the cold, ascetic Mr. Lu had a delicate little assistant who clung to him all day. She had to be a seductive mistress. In the break room, I was about to get some coffee when I overheard a few female employees gossiping. I heard she doesn't even know how to use the copy machine. All she does is run to Mr. Lu's office all day. Seriously. I saw her sitting on Mr. Lu's lap yesterday when I dropped off a file. TSK. And Mr. Lu just got married, didn't he? Already keeping a woman on the side. My hand trembled, and my coffee mug slipped, clattering to the floor. Have you said enough? An icy voice cut in from behind me. Lu Tingyun was standing in the doorway. I had no idea for how long, his expression terrifyingly dark. The women turned pale. Mr. Lu. He strode over, pulled me into his embrace, and kissed me right in front of everyone. It was a possessive, lingering kiss, and he didn't let go until my knees went weak. Allow me to make an introduction, he said, his voice like ice as his gaze swept across the room. My wife, Sumo. The entire room was dead silent. Did you bring your ID? Lu Tingyun asked me suddenly one morning. I did. Why? He took my hand and led me toward the door. We're going to City Hall. I froze on the spot. What are we doing at City Hall? To get our marriage license. He looked back at me, his brow furrowed. Or did you plan on being a Mrs. Lu with no legal standing forever? It was only then that I learned the Lu family tradition was to have the wedding first and get the license later. Some of them never got a license at all, just to make it easier to find a replacement down the road. Inside City Hall, a clerk handed over a prenuptial agreement. Mr. Lu, here is the notarization of your premarital assets. Please look it over. Lu Tingyun pushed it back without even a glance. Not necessary. The clerk and I stared, wide-eyed. Are you insane? I whispered, tugging his sleeve. What if someday you... Someday what? He asked, his eyes narrowing dangerously. You want a divorce? I mean, what if you fall in love with someone else? He gripped my chin sharply, speaking word by word. Sumo. You listen to me. In this life, I, Lu Tingyun, will only have one woman. If the day ever comes that I have a change of heart, you can take half of everything I own. Is that sincere enough for you? My heart skipped a beat. The night we got our marriage license, Lu Tingyun took me to one of his favorite restaurants to celebrate. A familiar figure suddenly appeared at our table. Sister? The fork in my hand clattered onto my plate. Suyu was much thinner, her face pale, but she was still beautiful. She didn't even glance at me, speaking directly to Lu Tingyun. Tingyun, I'm back. Lu Tingyun wiped his mouth, his expression blank. Is there something? I was wrong to run away from our wedding. Suyu's eyes turned red. But I was sick. I was afraid your family would call off the engagement if they found out, so I. But I'm all better now. We can start over. Impossible. Lu Tingyun cut her off, taking my hand. Your sister and I are legally married. Only then did Suyu look at me, her eyes wide with disbelief. How is that possible? I thought the Lu family always. You're the one who ran. Now, Suemo is my wife. Wife. Suyu suddenly laughed, pulling a document from her purse. But as far as I know, the Lu family has a rule, the eldest son must marry the eldest Su daughter. So what if you got a license? As long as I'm back, this marriage is invalid. Lu Tingyun's eyes narrowed. Who told you that? That's not important, Suyu said, lifting her chin smugly. What's important, Tingyun, is that you're destined to be mine. The air turned to ice. Lu Tingyun rose slowly to his feet, looking down at Suyu. His voice was as cold as a blade. Then let me tell you right now. In the Lu family, I am in charge. And who I marry is my decision, and my decision alone. Suyu's appearance was like a bomb, instantly shattering to piece Lu Tingyun and I had fought so hard to build. She held that so-called Lu family rules document, standing before us with her chin held high, as if victory were already in her grasp. Suemo, did you really think a marriage license would solve everything? She sneered, the Lu family's rules aren't so easily broken. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. Sensing my unease, Lu Tingyun covered my hand with his thumb gently stroking the back of it in a silent reassurance. He looked up at Suyu, his eyes terrifyingly cold. Suyu, are you deaf? I've told you before, I'm the one who calls the shots in the Lu family now. Suyu's face paled, but she quickly tilted her chin up again. Principles? Tradition? Lu Tingyun scoffed, his gaze mocking. The Lu family's tradition is to put its interests above all else. And right now, my interest is Suemo. He rose to his feet, towering over her, his voice low and dangerous. If you ever dare to bother us again, I won't hesitate to make you disappear for good. The color drained from Suyu's face. After that day, sure enough, Suyu never appeared again. Lu Tingyun was a man of his word. He not only made our marriage public, he even made a high-profile declaration to the media, there is only one Mrs. Lu, and that will never change. Later, when someone asked Lu Tingyun why he had chosen me so decisively, he would look at me, a small smile playing on his lips, and say, because she's Suemo. And I finally understood, the most beautiful kind of love isn't love at first sight, but a destiny you stumble upon when you least expect it.